Hi guys, we're starting a new program where I will be looking into how to interpret dreams. I've seen a lot of people asking questions how that's done, and this is why we're going to start a series where I look into my own dreams so that you can get an example of how I do it and what kind of information you can get out of it. Okay, so for starters, what you're going to need to know is that every dream, whatever it is, even if it looks prophetic, it has some kind of information for our situation that is currently in this moment now, today, maybe even a few years in the future. It doesn't really matter. Every time we remember a dream, it has an actual meaning and has potential useful information that we can use to enter a better life, to adapt new habits that will help us live a better life. So how do we get to that information? We start interpreting dreams through their symbolic meaning. That means that every object that stands out we take and we put a symbolic meaning next to it so that we know what it means. And once we arrange all the symbols in a dream, we can see what the information is as well. We can see, because since they're only symbols, we need some actions so that we can make the connections between them. This means that the actions in the actual dream, what is being done, what we're observing, what we're doing, also has a significant meaning to what they mean. And now we're going to start to look into some dreams that I've had. Now I'm going to look into the first two dreams because they have a similar theme and they're a month apart, right? They're 2 years old, but they're a month apart. This is because I stopped writing them down, but below them, and if you want to access the file, I will put a link down in the description. Below them you can see one of the most recent dreams that I've had, which is yesterday, about Trisha. That's what I call it, because this name, specifically Trisha, has a specific meaning. Now I don't have all my written down dreams because I've written them down in Bulgarian, and now I'm just going to continue with a separate new list in English every time I write down something. But these are the two that I prepared, so let's dig in. Now the first one is called in front of the court. Now there is a big white courthouse. I'm not sure if that's the how you say it in English, in the center of Sofia where I live, and I think of it as a very beautiful building. It has two lions on its side, and I really like it. Most of my childhood has been around it. My mother used to work next to it. My grandma used to, still does, live close to it, so I have often gone between the two and through the courthouse. It's a white building, which is why I think it's very beautiful. And the specific dream is when I was crossing between the traffic lights, the pedestrians' traffic lights, I saw that a tram is going to pass. And while it was passing, I thought to myself that Peyu, Margaret and George are going to be in that tram, at which point I decided that I don't want to continue any further. Now, the significant meaning of this. I have the three objects that are the traffic light, the court, and the tram. So the traffic light, since I have to stay still in front of it in order to and to wait for a green light to pass, I find it as a static, something that's keeping me back, meaning that I'm not doing anything. The courtroom, like I said, I see it as a beautiful building. I like it. Most of my childhood has been through there, and which is why I find it beautiful, and also I'm happy about it. Now the traffic light that I'm currently talking about is right in front of the court, so when I'm standing and waiting for it to turn green, I'm actually looking at the building, or I'm able to see the building, which is why we're going to continue. You're going to see what the actual meaning means. The tram, since they move only on their rails, that's a focused path, which is why I interpret it as being a path. The tram is up the path, or the moving object on its path. And inside that tram are two people who I, in order to get the most out of the dream, I should look into their biggest and their worst character traits from my point of view, because that makes me realize what I have, what I am, and what I do, since everybody is a reflection of us. And here Peyu is a closed-off, self-loving, egocentric. Margaret is someone that's always a victim. I'm not going to go into depth, that's how I see them. George is always a misunderstood, egocentric. So having those symbols interpreted, I conclude that while I'm standing in front of the traffic light, so when I'm static, I don't do anything, I can admire the happiness, but I don't see the bad traits, which are the three people's traits that I move with on my path, because we're always doing something, right? If we don't focus on them to work on them, we just drag them along, and it becomes harder and harder for us to continue and develop further. So I think that's a pretty simple interpretation. It's pretty straightforward as well, and for me it was at that time, February 2018, it was very true and significant. Yes, that's the word I was looking for, because I was having a hard time at work as well as at home. You can look up, that's Jane. And 1 month later, a similar dream appears where the information is almost the same, because in this one we were with a friend, we were guests with a friend at some building. I'm not sure what it was. If I have to think about it, I think it was a fortress, but I can't say really because the focus wasn't there. Since Professor McGonagall from Harry Potter was there as well, I'm guessing that I'm thinking of Hogwarts, but I can't tell you, I can't say for sure. Anyways, the dream is about me and my friend being guests at that building for 2 days. At the end, I start seeing that my friend is not doesn't want to wake up. He doesn't want to get up. It's like he was enchanted and couldn't wake up or stand up. So I was really kind of disappointed in him, because all I was seeing is how he didn't want to do something. So when I saw that Professor McGonagall was trying to arouse his curiosity, love, make it more actionable, and just to bring him up so that we can go on our merry way, and I saw that it didn't work. I knew that if this continues, I have to go home alone, and that's the basis of the dream. So as you can see, there are just 3 things here. Being a guest for me is resting vacation, which is kind of the same as the traffic light being static, because I don't really do a lot while I'm resting, and while I'm resting or looking for ways to just rest, I'm really just ignoring all the work that I have to do and to wonder how I can skip it. So being a guest and traffic light have a similar meaning in this case. Now Emil, who is my friend, I see him as lazy and immature because that's what I see in him. And Professor McGonagall, based on the books, what I've read, and the films, I've seen her as a responsible person, but someone that is kind of scared because she doesn't really go out and face fear in the head on. Now, except for the end, right? It doesn't really matter. That's how I interpret it. Now, the interpretation is that I'm too lazy, and if I don't get myself up, nothing ever will. This is and the only way for me to continue would be to leave all the thoughts and expectations of resting and having a relaxed life behind, because as it is in the dream, when me and Professor McGonagall see that Emil can't get up, she goes to try to motivate him with something that he loves, or he's a Harry Potter fan, and that's why she uses a quote from Harry Potter. But since it doesn't work, I know that I can't just find good thoughts to motivate myself. I just need to get up and start going. There's nothing that can make us work except our decision to work. That's what I concluded. And the other one, since it's not really themed, I will leave you to read it out. Now I didn't know how Trisha was spelled, but you can check it out for yourself. Again, link is down in the description. If you want to see more interpretation, as well as the theoretical part on how to use dreams and what they can give us, you can subscribe, click on the bell so that you can get a notification when when there's a video that is being uploaded, and I will see you next time.